This week, we're talking about 3 dangerous distractions on your path of spiritual awakening. These are 3 things that you may not be aware of, but I come across them a lot. So let's find out what they are and start becoming aware of them. My name's Aliki. I hope you guys can hear me. The Buddha always told his disciples not to waste their time and energy in metaphysical speculation. Whenever he was asked a metaphysical question, he remained silent. Instead, he directed his disciples toward practical efforts. Questioned one day about the problem of the infinity of the world, the Buddha said, "Whether the world is finite or infinite, limited or unlimited, the problem of your liberation remains the same." Another time he said, "Suppose a man is struck by a poisoned arrow and the doctor wishes to take out the arrow immediately. Suppose the man does not want the arrow removed until he knows who shot it, his age, his parents, and why he shot it. What would happen? If he were to wait until all these questions have been answered, the man might die first." Life is so short. It must not be spent in endless metaphysical speculation that does not bring us any closer to the truth. Socrates said, "Enida otiuden ida," which basically means the one thing I know is that I know nothing, which is precisely why he was a very wise man. There's nothing wrong with wanting to acquire knowledge, but this can very easily spiral out of control because the mind just can't get enough. We have curious minds and we want to know more. And sometimes that can serve us well. But when it comes to the spiritual path, it's all too easy to overdo it and to get caught up in all kinds of ideas and confusion. We need to discern between the questions that are helpful and those questions which do nothing but satisfy curiosity. And of course, in the spiritual circles, there are so many questions that one can never truly answer. Most of it is simply speculation. No matter how much you stuffed your intellect full of facts and figures and information, it's not going to make you any more spiritual. So beware of falling into this trap of always wanting to know more and spending vast amount of time researching things that you're not even going to apply. The real reason we want information and answers to questions is to make a difference in our lives and in other people's lives. It's so that we can live in a better way, so that we can understand each other better, so that we can go through life as someone who is awake and present and not moaning all the time. So make peace with not knowing. And the fact that you and I are going to die without the mind getting all the answers it would like. It's just the way things are, and it's okay. What often happens when we have glimpses of our true nature is the mind starts to sneak in the back door and take ownership by creating an identity as the spiritual one, as the one who gets it. Then that one gets a sense of self out of the fact that it believes that it gets it. A vigilance is required and a radical honesty so that we can recognize any moment when there's a sense of that personal me. And not to make it wrong when it's there, but just to witness it and see, that's the ego. It will want to tell everybody, "I know about this." There will be a subtle sense of distorted pleasure in feeling superior. It's okay that the mind tries to play all these tricks. It's not evil. It's innocent. Just watch it and see it for what it is. Another sign that it's there is whenever you have a sense of being right and the other person is wrong and wanting to argue. You'll see this when you look at the Facebook groups about non-duality. You'll see spiritual egos arguing with each other because one believes I've got it and wants to show the others that they're wrong. If you find yourself in an argument with somebody where you're trying to prove that you're right and they're wrong, you can pretty much guarantee that the ego has sneaked back in. Now, the spiritual ego, or you could also call it the religious ego, is this idea of my spirituality is better than yours because I know more than you do, and I've experienced more than you have, and I'm more aware and awake than you are. Which obviously is a load of old trollop. Now, to be fair, the spiritual ego can creep up on anyone, including you and me. The thing is, we're all walking on a different path, going to the same place, but we're all getting there our own way, which means that the proper outlook is to honor and respect everyone else's journey and where they are on it. We actually need to learn to mind our own business. So pay attention and notice your tone of voice, the energy with which you speak when talking about spiritual things. Always let love lead. Always. When you're talking about anything, letting love lead is really the loveliest way to live. Let me tell you what's going on with my story. I have a fairly small channel, but since last week it seems to be sort of blowing up. I have a lot of kind comments all of a sudden, and that makes me feel all warm and fuzzy inside. It's very easy to start falling into self-judgment. Do I have a spiritual ego? Was that my spiritual ego just then? I need to be careful about that. You don't want to get into self-judgment. And we learned last week that we're all doing the dance of life. And it's okay to feel what you feel and to be how you are, but not to get lost, in this psychological realm of thought and feeling. Keep coming back to the awareness that you are in your true nature. It's okay to feel tickled in your ego. It's okay. Just remember not to stay there, not to think you're better than everyone else. And come back to now. Always come back to now. And of course, there are many easy ways to keep coming back to now, nature being one of my favorites, and the other one being the breath. Yes. Is there a video where I don't talk about the breath? I do believe there are one or two, but it's very important and we forget about it. We forget about this gift of life that we have. You know, we're being breathed. There's a life force that's enabling this breathing to go on without you thinking about it, without effort. We're being breathed. Isn't that profound and wonderful? So don't forget about this magical breath that you have, this anchor of tranquility, this grounding presence within your body, and let it keep bringing you back to reality, to the reality of this moment, the most important moment. Which brings us very nicely to our final wisdom quote of the week. And what a beauty this is.
You are the light. This is the true meaning of enlightenment. You are the light that's lighting up the path. You are the light of consciousness itself. It's what we all are. What you are is illuminating this moment, so whatever appears in this moment is not a block to the light. Whatever appears in this moment is illuminated by the light that you are. When you really begin to see that, you see that nothing can possibly block the light. Nothing can get in the way. Nothing can block the path, because whatever appears is the path. The whole thing points to a deep trust in whatever is arising in this moment, knowing that life can't go wrong in that sense. Even if it seems as though life is going wrong right now, that is life. That's not life going wrong. That is life, and what you are is the light that's shining on that, and that light is constant. That light can't switch off. It's that constant, ever-present light of consciousness that you are, and that you've always been. It's not a state. States come and go. Experiences come and go. Thoughts come and go. Feelings come and go. Conclusions and certainties come and go. But what doesn't come and go is the illumination of all that. That which is aware of all that. That's the enlightenment. It's not a state. It doesn't happen in time. What we're really pointing to is the ever-present light that you are. That's what the word enlightenment was always pointing to, the total embrace of this moment, including everything that appears. Every thought, every sensation, every feeling, the doubt, the sadness, the pain, all of it is held in the embrace that you are.
This is where we need to do a big zooming out and see that we're getting lost in the content of our thinking. We're taking life and we're dividing it up into things we like, don't like, want, don't want, good, bad, etc., etc., etc. And we lose the wholeness of life, and life is whole. Life is one. We're missing the value of daily life and all the wonderful life lessons that are here for us today. Isn't it wonderful to hear that there's nothing blocking our spiritual path, but that everything we encounter is part of this path? Oh my goodness, music to my ears. It's so simple, isn't it? It's just so simple. I love simplicity. The mind complicates everything. We can all breathe a sigh of relief, because this means that whatever's happening in your life, everything that you encounter today, you can use it all as part of this spiritual awakening journey. Yes. Instead of running away from it, pushing it away, the mind has been doing its job, trying to protect us, and creating so much drama about everything that's going on in life. And we talk about it all the time, don't we? We're stuck in this negativity hole. It's like a black hole, and it's just sucking everything into it. And all our joy and all our peace disappears. What can we do? See things differently. Now, some of you might say to me, yes, but Aliki, we're just being realistic. This is how things are. Look at the news. This is reality. Well, let me tell you, there's no how things are. Life is what you think it is. I think that's going to be a topic for another video, because there's a lot in that one. What happens in your being when you see things in this way is you just completely start to relax and accept and even welcome many of the things that happen in your daily life that before you would just sort of put up with, grumble about, not even realizing how you're reacting to everything. Now we discover that actually the path is always the way it's supposed to be, and that we are the light illuminating the path. Rather than walking along the path trying to kick everything out of the way, each moment is actually the way it's supposed to be. So maybe we can let life do its thing and start trusting it a little bit, realizing that everything can become part of our spiritual practice. There's a wonderful Eckhart quote about that, which I'll share with you another time. So this week, I encourage you not to get caught up in too much metaphysical speculation, but to focus on simple things that you can apply in your daily life, such as enjoying nature, coming back to your breath, giving mindful hugs, and eating and doing your daily things more consciously by being present when you do them. Secondly, watch out for that spiritual ego and having arguments with people about who's right. Anytime you feel better or worse than anyone else, that's the ego. That's your false sense of self. So you don't need to pay attention to it. The less attention you pay to it, the less it's going to keep bothering you. Trust me, that's how it works. And finally, remember that enlightenment is actually the ever-present state of light that you are. And when you wake up from the world of your thinking mind and remember this, that is a spiritual awakening. That is enlightenment. And this can happen many times throughout the day, in the dance of life. Maybe even start to trust it a little bit. Just fell down a hole. Do any of these three distract? There we go again. Stay away from that hole.